Hey guys, so today we're looking at the Line 6 Helix Native. Now, I've been reading lots of reviews about the Helix, the hardware version. People saying, they're selling the Axe effects or selling their amps to get the Helix. So, kind of high hopes for this. So when the Native plugin came out, which was yesterday, or day before yesterday, I think, and I was like, I should try it. Should try the trial, see what I think. It's a pretty pricey plugin at $400, so does it live up to their hype? And we're going to find out. So in the beginning, I just went through some of the factory presets here, which let's move this window a bit. Some of the factory presets that are all just amps up until this point, but we're going to go through some of them and then some of my own presets and change guitars. I'm playing my J&D Les Paul custom copy. So yeah, if you don't know anything about that guitar, it has a custom 5 in the bridge, and in the neck is a GFS Dream 90. So that is a single coil pickup. So we had some Marshally stuff without too much effects. Let's just pull up one of these kind of effects here. This one is meant to be a whole lot of love, so let's do that. So at the moment, yeah, like I said, these are all just the factory presets. I'm just going to turn it up a bit so I can hear. So, like I said, going through some of them. So that uses their cab simulators. Now you can use impulse responses, and we'll get to that later. But I'm just checking the plugin out. This beginning part of just how it is. So let's try whatever this preset is. So as you can already hear from the presets, there is plenty of effects in here, there's plenty of amps in here. So let's just build one from scratch, and I'll show you how this section kind of works. So I'm going to go to user 2, just because there's empty presets. We'll open up this one. So basically, you have your input and your output, and you've got two different chains here. And in there, you've got all these spots where you can put something, any of these sections. So you've got distortion, dynamics, EQ, modulation, delay, reverb, pitch, filter, wah, your amps with cabs by themselves, just the preamp, and just a cab by itself, impulse response, your volume pedal, and then send and return and looper are for the hardware. And as using an DAW, they don't really apply here. So let's just build something. I'm just going to start here. We'll build a separate thing. So let's say we start with a classic Plexi bright channel, and then here I'll click there and we'll add a cab for that. So as you can see, there's the amp and cab as well, so you can just add it and it's a matching cab, but we're going to do it this way, and I'm going to do dual cab. So you have a choice of either a single cab or two cabs, and it does sound better with dual, so that's what we're going to do. So let's grab greenback for this one, and the second cab will get blackback, which is a park cab with G12H30s in it. So 57 there, and maybe I'll go ribbon there. So in the cab section, as you can see, you've got choice of mics, distance, some filters, and kind of a room sound. Go back to the amp. You've got your general amp controls, and then you've also got sag, hum, ripple, bias, and bias X. Now if you look in the manual, there's descriptions of what these are. Sag is kind of the response, bias effects a response to, and then bias X has something to do with how it the distortion works. Yeah, and you've got normal controls. So let's just go for a kind of crunch sound. So turn drive down a bit, and master's on full. So basic crunch town sound. So let's say you want something for solos. You've got all these distortion here. So I'm just going to do your typical thing, get a Boss Super Overdrive. So whoops, I always accidentally do that. So if you clicked on something and you click on something else, it changes it. So let's go back to our bright plexi, the gain down a bit. Cool. So let's click. So here, I'll put it right at the beginning of the chain, and we'll add a Super Overdrive, drive down, level up. And say then we want a little reverb, a little bit of a room reverb. So like I've done before, I'm kind of doing this on purpose because it's what mistake I made lots of times, which is thinking, oh, I go here first and choose what I want. All you've got to do is go to the slot first, and that is something that I find incredibly annoying. I'd rather maybe double click it to change it or something, I don't know. Yeah, double click it or something, or drag it in there, might work better. So let's get settings we had before. And so I'm going to click here, let's go over here, end of the chain, reverb. Now in the actual hardware, I think it's because you scroll to choose these things rather than click. It makes more sense then, but for this, it is a bit annoying. So we'll go room. As you can see, you got a huge choice of reverbs from your normal stuff to stuff like octo and particle verb. So mix down a little bit, a bit more decay. Cool. Let's say we want a delay. So let's just go a nice transistor. Let's go analog delay. Nice analog delay. So instead of the reverb, we've got the delay. Extend a bit. Yeah. Now you can adjust the headroom if you want not to distort, or make it distort quicker. let's say we want 2 delays in parallel. If we drag this down here, we create a parallel path, and we can add another effect. So we go up here and say then we want a simple delay on quarter notes and this delay on eighth notes. And then you can decide your mixing here. So if we want it in stereo, that's the digital simple delay in the left and the other one in the right. Now I'm feeding that with the mono signal, but if we add this as a stereo, then you can make sure the left and right go here. So I'll show you in the chorus. So let's then say we've got a stereo chorus. Let's go do this one. Semi chorus. Stereo. Now if we had the balance at 0, chorus is no longer stereo. Basically that split function. So say you want to go down here and add even more effects. The way that it's set up is with the hardware, in the sense that you can only put so many plugins like effects. They're not really third-party plugins, but you know what I mean, in here before you run out of processing power, because that's one processor and this is the other. So if you find, and then software does this too, so if you go here, then you can output it down here. So I'm just gonna change the level of this, and then we're gonna go to reverb and add a plate. Okay, so that's basic routing, and of course there's way more things you can do. Change it up. Now, what do I think of the tone? Now, one thing I'm definitely noticing that I don't like is there's a kind of fizziness in the top end, especially with distortion. So let's turn that off, and we'll just crank this plexi up a bit. So originally I was using an equalizer in my DAW to kind of help with that, but you can do it with an EQ here. So what you can do is you grab parametric, and I feel if you filter at about 15, and then you give a boost just under that, it can really help. So make sure you've got a stereo EQ. So bring the filter in, so I'll just play. It's obvious on different amps as well, so what I'm going to do is turn these cabs off and change this to we'll cut this and change it to an amp and cab, and let's go for something more high gain. Let's go Panama. So it's really subtle, but that kind of helps with that fizz. Now, I reckon most of that fizz comes from the cab impulses, which aren't great. There's plenty of third party, so I'm going to show you some third party impulses in a minute. We're just going to go through some more stock sounds first, but I'll show you at the end. I've got some presets with cab impulses, and they do quite improve the sound. I may do another video directly comparing certain cab impulses with the Line 6 version. So let's go with another new preset, and let's just go through some amps. While I've got the Les Paul here, we'll do some more gainy stuff, and then we'll do some cleaner stuff with my Telecaster. So we'll do a blues thing. So we'll go on the neck pickup. This is the Tweed Blues, which is a bassman. So, an alright sound, pretty good, but this is where I really like to test amps, is how they deal with that kind of edge of crunch kind of sound, and most digital stuff fails. The only thing I've really heard is the Axe effects, and I haven't played through one, just hearing others, and it still, gets that crunch a bit better. We'll go to the AC30 models later on. You'll see what I mean. We'll go through them with my Tele in a minute, because that tends to be an amp I play a lot and know well, and sometimes it just doesn't sound right. Fender sound, you know, Fendery in this. You've got some other cool things like this. I think this is a silver tone. Well, we've got this. Let's just get some harmonic tremolo. Go for a little kind of swamp. Yeah, pretty cool sound. So let's go, while we're here, let's keep going, and we'll go on to a JTM 45. Let's just use some of the pedals, and here we'll add a fuzz face. This is where I find digital false sound. Once you start layering things, it kind of can crap out a bit. I know fuzz are meant to sound fuzzy, but I don't think a fuzz face is meant to sound like that. Okay, let's go for a bit more gain and get a jumped plexi going. Where's that? You know, sounds kind of plexi-ish. Bit fizzy for me, but you know. So let's get the reverb off and let's get into high gain territory. Let's go this one, German Ubersonic. Rectifier. And last in the high gain sounds before I get my telly, this actually sounds pretty damn good, I reckon. And that's the good old sort of now I've got my Tele, a completely different instrument. Obviously Tele has single coils, you know, not a Les Paul. So this is the same setting we left with the Les Paul, and you can hear it is a lot different with the Tele. Anyway, let's get to the more clean sounds. So, go back, do the JTM on the normal channel, switch the neck pickup, and plate on, and I might just get a nice stereo chorus. Volume up a little bit. Let's go to the matchstick, which is obviously a matchless. Now, whatever reason, it has a silver bell. Let's go with the, what we'll do, we'll go back, separate it, and do the dual cab thing again. So we go cab, and what I want is one of the cabs to be matchless H30 and one to be the matchless G25. Both with 419s, cool. Take on a ring of fuzz, which is based on the Boss FZ2, a pedal that lives on my board. Kind of sounds like it should, and we can obviously crank the drive a bit. Switch to the jumper channels, and then you have drives from each channel. S6A30, a Vox AC30, and in the cabs we'll go with the silver bells, which are the later silver speakers. Let's just add some compression. So we go here, we have got dynamics, and as you can see I cannot use that, so what I'm going to do, as I showed before, copy this reverb across, cut the reverb and make it go there, and then I should be able to use the red squeeze. And add the chorus and bring the drive down a bit and then volume up. Now if we want to use two different amps, easy as pie, okay, those cabs there, and let's say I also wanted, so I'm going to move this, so I've got more processing power, and that's the one thing, like, I understand from the point of view of the hardware, but my computer's fine, like, it can handle it, so I'd like to, you know, that to be a limiting factor, not the software. But anyway, let's grab another amp. So we don't have much to choose from, so let's go a Jazz Rivet. Do this and then make sure that we pan A and B. So the clean kind of contents are pretty good. Now I'm going to show you how to put impulses, and then we're going to go through some of my presets. So let's say I had an amp here and I had the plexi, and I'll just grab the plexi cab. So let's just go greenback. So greenback 40 here. So the cab there, and then grab that plexi back. So now the impulses are stored here, and so if you click on an empty shot, you can go import, and it will convert to their format. So I'll just do it again just so you can see. So let's just go cabinets, say M25s, we're going to 48. Because it converts to 48 anyway, we'll choose 48, and that's what I'm running at. And we'll go AKG 414. So I'm going to go cap edge because I just like the cap edge better. So that is there now. So if I want an impulse response, I have the choice of IR. Oh, whoops! I didn't mean to click on it. We'll get that back. I have a choice of IR 1024 and 2048, and that's how many samples it is. With 1024 you can run 2, and that you can only run 1. So if I have this, you'll see, so I drag it down here, so I can no longer add impulse response. So I'm going to choose 1024, we'll select which number it is, so 8, and I'll turn off this other cab. So here's the original cab. And here's the IR. I'll just turn it down a little bit. And say I want that plus this basket weave H30. So drag that down, and I'll go down to impulse and number 4. So it is pretty easy, and then obviously if you want to mix it with the cab, say I turn that off and then put the cab on, that's a mix of my IR and the cab. Now you might get phase problems depending on your impulse response. You've also got low and high cut, so say I wanted the cab to just be the mids, I can just high cut that, and then the IR. And you know, IRs sound drastically different, so if we just go through them. High watt. Here's a Vox. And here's the. Here's a PV. And then the Marshall is here. Cool. So, you know, that's basically how it works. That's how you do impulses. Third parties are going to sound better. That's my biggest gripe. I think there's a fizzy sound to it. You can dial it out and spend heaps with EQ. I realised just using some of the impulses I've got solved that for the most part. And you know, it's a pretty alright software. I don't know if it's worth $400 yet. I think there needs to be some improvements in the mid-gain stuff. It still doesn't really, I don't know, respond like a tube. It doesn't have the oomph of a valve amp or something like Axe-Fx seems to. So, I mean, I've watched a few comparison videos with Axe-Fx and definitely that edges it out, but it is a lot more expensive. I mean, you have to buy the hardware. That's $2,400. This is $400 for software, so yeah. Anyway, I've got my presets, so I'm going to play some of them, some on the telly, some on the Les Paul. So let's start with this stereo AC that I've got using some IRs. Next we have this stereo octo setting, which is using the octo reverb. So this is your classic filtered reverb. So I'm just going to bring it up a little bit. And last one to tell you is this cranked JCM 800. Okay, I'm going to change to the low spot for these last two. This one I call 80s shred. For last one, we've got some harmonizer. Ready? Cool, so that was a bit long of a video. It's just kind of my first look into Helix. I only got it last night. Overall, yeah, I'm a bit underwhelmed. It didn't blow me away. It is better than a lot of sims out there, but not a huge amount better than Guitar Rig is if you're using impulses. Not yet, so I'm not sure, you know. It's got more tweakability in a sense, so maybe tweak them in the settings, a bit of EQ. The effects, while a lot of them are great, I prefer the chorus and delays in Guitar Rig, I use them all the time, even on other things. I really like them. So yeah, also not blown away by them, but you know, it has some cool sounds. And if you already have Helix and you're loving it, it's only $100 for Helix users, and it means you can then integrate it into your DAW without having to reamp. You can put it on different tracks, you can put on vocals and stuff like that. And if you don't have a lot of the you know, reverb plugins and delays and dynamics, you can use, you know, this software on your vocals or drums or whatever, instead of having to fork out money for stuff. Like, I've got a lot of Slate Digital stuff and a few other plugins which I use, but if you don't have that, then this definitely is powerful enough to give you some effects for that. So thanks. I'll hopefully play around more with Helix this week, maybe do some comparisons between IRs and the inbuilt cab sims, and also maybe my amp. While it's not modeled in here, it is kind of based off of Matchless, and my cab is the same, similar speakers to a Matchless, so it'd be interesting to compare them. If this is well modeled, it should sound bigger and fuller than my amp, so we'll do that. And so thanks again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my other videos. I've got a few more pedals coming, so you might have seen my OD2 video or my DS2 video. I've got some other classic pedals coming soon, so look out for that. Thanks again, and goodbye.